Doc is back. Welcome to Medically Speaking with Dr. Winston Alexis, hosted by Tyrone Robertson. Join Doc and his guests as they discuss healthcare and the Caribbean community every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on caribcast.tv, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and most other popular podcast platforms.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Medically Speaking with Dr. Winston Alexis. I'm your host, Tyrone Robertson. Our topic today is stress and its relationship to your overall health. Doc, how are you this fine day?
Okay, I mask up because I'm following what the CDC says. You hear again, people?
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the studio. We have our shield between us. We have on our N95 mask because we are following the CDC guidelines. We want to ensure that we're doing our part not to spread the coronavirus.
And by the way, learn a lesson, my people. A lot of people give you advice. You go on the internet. Internet have a lot of bogus things. When you want to know who to follow, common sense will tell you, I am not going to ask President Trump about coronavirus. He ain't no doctor. Right? Now, if I want to know how to make a pile of money, borrowing other people's money and using it to make, I'll read Trump. You understand? So, no, a simple common sense. The reason we're saying this, so much information. That is one thing with America. They kill you with information. That after a while, you really don't know which track to take. I'm telling you, it's very simple.
Yes. And so with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we encourage you to utilize the tools at your disposal, but ensure that it is a credible source.
Exactly. And by the way, I'm stressed out right now because I have to wear this doggone mask. I hate it, but the directions from the people who know what they're talking about say you must wear your mask. And guess what? I'm getting accustomed to it. I kept it on for 18 hours last week, Friday. And that is not easy. I mean, I didn't take it off for a second. In the operating room, normally, 3 to 5 hours. But when you start to go 10, 12 hours, believe me, it's up. But you do what you have to do.
It's second nature now.
It
becomes second nature after you're doing it for a while.
And that brings me to what stress is. First of all, I went and looked up the official definition of what stress is, and I started to laugh. You know why? Everybody in the entire world have stress, if you go by this definition. And it's true. Everybody, the Queen, the King, Trump, me, you, the people who sleeping on box down by the library in plant, all of we have stress. Because the definition of stress is this: physical, mental, or emotional factors that cause bodily or mental tension.
One more time for me, Doc.
All right. Physical, this is the definition. Stress is any physical, mental, or emotional factor that causes bodily or mental tensions. That means from the time I wake up in the morning, I'm stressing. Because number one, I get up and say, Lord God, I'm late. The stress starts. When you drive your car, you're stressed. When the children get ready in time to go to school, you're stressed. When you hate your boss, you're stressed. You see where I'm going with this?
So, throughout our daily lives, we encounter things or reasons to be stressed.
Yeah, from the time you open your eyes. So, and by the way, there's a reason for this. This is why I wanted to talk about it. Stress is a mechanism that's built into our DNA over the years that teach us to be ready for terrible, sudden activity. For instance, a Cro-Magnon man running from raising them the elephant with the long tusk, what they call them, or you running from a saber-toothed tiger. Talking about stress, that's why the body developed this thing. What stress does, in a moment, as you're hit with a stressful the body have a mechanism to get you to ready to fly. It's called fight, flight, or fright. In other words, the body, and by the way, think of it, a car coming, barreling into you. How come you dive out of the way? You don't have time to think. That is the mechanism. What make you dive out of the way or run fast from a lion or a bull? The reason you run faster than your accustomed run because you're running long before you realize you're running. That's how the system is. And there's a mechanism by which the body does this. Right?
So, based on what you have just said, then there is good stress.
Exactly, which is acute stress. Means stress that happens quickly to get you in it built in.
So you hear that, ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
you know. So the layman, who is me,
Yeah.
I call it good stress.
Yes.
The physician, who is doc, calls it acute stress.
Acute stress. That means run. You understand that? We need that sudden jolt, and it's a mechanism. I could tell you what happens now. From the brain senses danger. In nanoseconds, it sends a message to a little gland above the kidney called the adrenal gland. And the adrenal gland shoot out epinephrine. You ever hear about that drug?
Yes.
Right? You notice a lot of people saw the epinephrine was pumping. They're right. And that epinephrine get your muscles ready, get your heart beating, sugar flowing, so you could use up all this energy to get out of the situation you were in. That's good stress. That's a good response. There are two mechanisms. One is boom, you run.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's that is a quick shot. That don't last long. But if the lion's still chasing you, the same adrenals send out a thing called cortisol. And I know you have heard that name, steroid.
Yes, yes.
And that steroid keep the height going. But when everything is over, it come back down again to zero. That's acute stress.
All right.
Good stress.
Good stress.
All
Acute
right.
stress.
Now we talk about chronic stress, bad stress.
That's the one we know about
That's,
mostly.
and I'll tell you how that works. Instead of, you have an acute problem. Something happened, your children get you mad or something, and and the cortisol come a little bit because it's staying to keep it up. But then there's stress going on, so the cortisol keep. And if it go on for weeks and months, and you become in a state of chronic stress, that's not good. Because the extra hormones that begins to do things to you. Number one, it decreases your immunity. Everybody know that when you're given steroids, you notice you get infections easily because your immune system is dampened by chronic steroid production.
So just to put things into perspective then, the mainstream or mass media about COVID is probably adding to the number of infections because of stress,
Right.
which is impacting your immune system.
Right. Let me tell you even more. You notice what they're saying about coronavirus. Is this, you know what is called those, there are things in the body that produce inflammatory responses. But they are there to protect you from any bacteria might come into you. This virus is making your inflammatory process go overboard. So it starts attacking damaged tissue. That's why it's so bad. Right? So what is happening here? Again, if we come back to chronic stress, acute stress is good. Right? It's even good when you go for a job and you're worked up and you're ready to answer all the questions. Okay, that kind of stress is good. Or like you're playing tennis and you're serving and you know that stress is short, good stress. Chronic stress dampens the immune system and dampens your body as a whole. So you end up being in a constant state of tension.
Understood.
And they have a fancy word for that.
What is that now?
Anxiety.
Ah.
That's how stress causes anxiety because you're hyper all the time. You're ready. Remember when you're hyper for the tiger chasing you, it got boom. But then by the time you jump over the fence, everything should come back to normal. But you stay in a state of chronic stress. The more you worry, the more you are unable to unravel the problems that causing the chronic stress. You will be in a state of ill health. It may be, I'm not talking about a specific disease, but your overall resistance to disease gets lower. So it's easier to get colds. And that's only part of it. All right? There are other little changes going on in the brain. So now you can't sleep. You can't concentrate. You can't get out of the bed in the morning. You don't feel like doing anything. You are moving from anxiety, and guess what you're going towards? I'm sure everybody can figure this thing. Depression.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this is a mechanism that is in work. A matter of fact, the more sophisticated a society you're living, the more are these chronic stresses. Your boss, your children, the road, police speeding. When we were back in Jamaica, you go drink 2 rum and you forget everything. America is not like that.
Yes, back to the good old simple life that we used to live.
And let me tell you what it is about our people. We are in a new environment, a new way of life, so the stresses are even more. All right, so you could see, this is why when you said community just now, yes, we got to take everything that is present in America and see how we as immigrants, coming from a different culture, how much more strain this put on us. But basically, it doesn't cause any specific disease, but it makes the chances of getting the disease easier because your overall system is now not functioning well.
Okay.
All right? And the deeper you go into this, the worse it is. Depression, even worse. Now, in addition, if you already have a condition like high blood pressure, like diabetes, our diseases, prostate, and then you add the stress to it, it makes it even more. So that's why we have to be careful living in this society, coming here as immigrants. And this is one of the reasons that, Tarun, me and you have spoken about this before. We have a double minority here. We black and we immigrant.
Indeed.
Right? So this is why when people say, oh, you don't want to be African. No, I'm black. There's no question.
Right.
But there are other things that I brought with me to this country and into a system that is completely, they don't even understand what I'm talking about. Like when I tell some of the guys, I say, a guy come to work by my house in Jamaica when I was in Mobile. Say, yeah, doc, I could cut up the post and thing. I say, all right, how much? All right, shake my hand. That's good. You can't do that in this country.
That shaking of the hand was a binding contract between you and the workman.
Your word, even your word.
Yes. Here in the good old US of A, that will require now an agreement vetted by a lawyer.
And even then, the thief you. Even with the papers. So the point I'm making is, and by the way, healthcare is no different. And we'll talk about that a little later when we come down to it. Healthcare is not given equally to people in this country, believe me. It isn't. It probably isn't given equally in any country.
It's one of these things where it's who you know.
And it so happened in this country we know nobody.
So ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking about stress and its relationship to your overall health. We've been talking about acute stress, which is good, chronic stress, which is bad. This is Medically Speaking with Dr. Winston Alexis. I am your host, Tyrone Robertson. New episodes are available every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. on your favorite podcast platform. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back to Medically Speaking with Dr. Winston Alexis.
At Goals and Spine, we provide a family environment where we instruct patients on proper exercises and techniques while offering chiropractic adjustments. give our team a call at Goldston Spine Rehab Center. We're here to help you turn up the light.
And we're back to Medically Speaking with Dr. Winston Alexis.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back to Medically Speaking with Dr. Winston Alexis. So, Doc, you have identified acute stress, which is good, and chronic stress, which is bad. Now tell us, what do we do about it?
Well, the first thing is, if you think describing stress was hard, treatment is almost impossible. Because treatment consists of a few things. Number one, the adjustments that the individual need to make in life. And by the way, each individual have a different type of adjustment to make. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. Some people DNA is such that they can handle these things. Mrs. Alexis, never worry about a single thing in the world. When we were in college, they're getting ready to evict me, my two children, Miss Alexis, and I can't sleep. And mommy's snoring. So when she wake up, I said, well, Mom, she said, Winston, there's one out of a couple things go happen, We sent home to Mama and them to see if they could give us a little change. The change may come on time. All is over. Or, some of the friends we've been asking to borrow, we get. Or, they evict us. I mean, that's how simple it is.
Quite simple.
What you losing sleep about? And if they evict us, then we figure out what we have to do. We send the children back home if we had. That is how, I worry, oh my God, I wonder. So again, your DNA has to do with how you can have. Some people, it's very easy. Then you have the second batch of people. Most of the people are somewhere in the middle. They can handle some of the things you need to do to counteract this situation. And then you have a third set who need medication.
Okay.
All right? So the second set is kind of like me. I have learned, or many of us have learned back home, to somehow shelter our stress by some of our lifestyles. Example, no man, no real man in Jamaica go directly home from work. You got to stop somewhere and beat two Heineken, talk some stupidness, talk cricket, football, woman, right? And then after you feel kind of high, you let go some of the stress, you go home and see your family. In short, there are certain things you can do in your life to modify this tension and this stress, right? One of the best things in the world is exercise.
Yes.
That means every single person in this country should be exercising. And I care about my community a little more than everybody. So especially, I want to start seeing my people get them funds, the women, and I take care of women, get them tight things that they wear, and have to back out, and go walk down the road.
And we like to see that.
Yes,
we like
man,
to see
yes.
That. So quickly on that note, Doc, exercise.
Yeah.
How simple can that exercise be? Because I've heard instances where they have said a 20 to 30 minute walk, 3 to 4 days out of the week.
Exercise have many jobs.
Mm-hmm.
It helps your heart, it helps your muscles, it helps your weight. But how does it help stress on your brain?
Correct.
Something called endorphins.
Okay.
The brain releases these normal relaxers. And the way you get them, the harder you work yourself, the more endorphins come out. So it can't be a walk like you're going down the road and stop and talk to your girlfriend. It has to be brisk, continuous walking for at least 30 minutes. Now you could do more than that. You could ride, you could run, but that's the minimum.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen, please take note of that.
5 to 7 days a week.
All right.
Minimum of 5.
All right. So please take note of that. A brisk 30-minute walk, 5 to 7 days out of the week will assist.
Yeah.
Will assist. I'm not saying, or we are not saying that it's going to eliminate, but it will certainly assist.
Right. That's one of the best things you can do. Second thing is a little harder. Eat properly. And that's one of the hardest things to do. What I mean by properly? Quantity. The majority of this nation, if not all, eat too much food. When you're talking about what you're eating, I see all those things on TV. Oh, don't eat this, bullshit. Eat no meat without skin, no pork. It's quantity. Is the problem. It's not quality. It's not the type of food we eat. Believe me, America has the greatest types of food. We eat too much. That we need to go and find out what is the proper diet for my height, weight, color. Because, body, the makeup, black, all them things, like Renee was telling me the other day, she, a few pounds, she's losing some weight. I had to tell her, I say, I hope it's not the white people weight chart you're looking at. Because black folks don't carry them. I hope my people are trying to kill themselves to come down to that weight.
Or that size.
Yeah. So you got to find out one that is right for you, for your height, your size, with your age, and your ethnic makeup. Right? But anyway, whatever you are doing with exercising, you got to sweat. If you are exercising and you don't break up a sweat while you're exercising, you're not exercising enough. Meaning you want to get the endorphins. And of course, the harder you go, the more endorphins seem to come out. Okay?
All right. So we've identified exercise and your diet.
All right. This is very important to my people. People talk about the American dream. Anybody ever explain to you what that is? Honestly, you ever hear somebody say, well, this is the American dream? There's no such thing. That's the biggest hoax. You hear the president talk about hoax? There's no American dream. So each person have their own dream, people. There's no American dream. And we get stressed out trying to live the stupid, great American dream. There ain't got none. Make your own dream, and that's your dream in America. It's not an American dream. Right? Because I hear people talking about wealth. And wealth is not synonymous with happiness.
Yes.
It is not synonymous with happiness.
We have identified that in a previous show where no matter how much money you have, without health, it's worthless.
So when you come to this country, or like me, I didn't make up my dream. I now realizing what my dream was. I used to tell you, I had a little idea where I wanted to go. Right? That's the point. I made decisions of where I wanted to go, little at a time, and reachable. I never reached for the moon yet. People talk about reach for the moon, you will get stressed. I look at what I like. I like to, a little fat. I like to have a nice house. I like to have a bag of money in my pocket. I like to travel. Right? I like my children around me so they're traveling with me. I don't want no big house. I don't want a house with 25 bedroom, 10 bathroom, 5 dog, a swimming pool. And you can't even find your wife in the house at the night. Why do I need that? The athletes buy it as long as they're happy with it. Me, I live in an attached home there, 3 bedroom, nice little yard. You come by me to run. I'm happy with it.
Yes. My father had a saying, enough, no more.
Yes.
For enough is as good as a feast.
And when you try to go too much, and by the way, make your plans a little bit at a time, right? And use common sense and make your plans. I talk to all young women who come into my office. When I say young, 19, 20, 21, when you're going to school, all of them. Because I think they need a little boost to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hear mommy say, oh yeah, my daughter wants to go to Harvard. I said, go where? What's the fees at Harvard? What? You have to go Harvard to be smart? To be successful? I went to Howard University, a little black school in Washington, D.C. And if I might say so, very few OBGYNs my age, with my experience, better than me. How I know that? I beat all of them on the boards.
All right.
All of them.
There you go.
I was in the 97 percentile. Only 3% of this country beat me.
There you go.
Right? So this thing about again, you're following the TV. You're following what their dream is, what success is. You know where Dr. Alexis went? Renee Alexis? and her mother claims she's smarter than me. BC. And I didn't know what I was doing. God is always on my side. She finished school when she was 16. She finished high school. I said, listen, me and send my daughter to nobody college. And they might have guys like I was when I was in college. You must be mad. Me and send my little daughter there. So I say, you go BCC. Do a little something. Get a job around the place so you learn to work. And after about 2 years, I send you to college. Best thing I ever do. Today, she's Dr. Rennie Alexis. And them two things. Learned to play tennis. She got a scholarship to Jacksonville University. Went to medical school at Maryland. And cheap. That's the point. Again, our people, I want to go Harvard, I want to go here. Listen to me. Go to any school. The important thing is make A's wherever you go.
Go for the education.
Be a good student, yes.
Go for the education.
Setting goals that are reachable is one of the things you can do. Okay? And look at happiness itself rather than wealth. Rather than saying I'm rich, what makes me happy? I like to party, that makes me happy. I want to go watch cricket, that makes me happy. Go. Set your own standards of happiness. And if all of that doesn't work, you do like me. I take a little small sedative when I feel beat up. Because I was having trouble sleeping. By the way, that's one of the things that chronic stress do to you. You don't sleep well, you lose your sex drive, you don't really want it to be bothered with people. And I wasn't sleeping. So I called my geriatric, my old man now. My doctor, they call a geriatrician for old people. And they tell me, Doc, you could take a little mild sedative. Boy, I call Renee, I say, what sedative? Me? Take what? Now, I make sure I have a bottle of that in my, because I started to sleep so much better. Not only that, I started to relax a lot more. It's not a sleeping pill, but the anxiety that the stress caused me during the day was interfering in my sleep. The reason I bring this in, some people need treatment.
Yes.
And this thing about, I won't take no tablet, nonsense. Nonsense. Most of these drugs are not habit forming. But this rumor going, if you're taking Zoloft, you're mad. No, mad people in mad house. Mad people not out on the street. And by the way, the other part of mental illnesses are genetic. It's schizophrenia, maybe Alzheimer's, addiction, all of these things are mental illnesses, but those are not functional disorders. Those are secondary to genetic abnormalities. And most of them have to be treated with drugs and serious psychotherapy. Well, last thing, and then I'm going to leave this. Almost every successful person in America, well, this time I'm talking mostly about Caucasians, whether they are movie stars, whether they are trumpets, all of them have psychotherapists. My people, psychiatrist is not for mad people. Sometimes I tell my patient, you should really go and, me, a psychiatrist? I say, yeah. What do you think they're going to do? Well, there are mad people. I said, no, mad people in mad house. Mad people have seen psychiatrists, mad people lock up in a hospital. Psychotherapy. So even if your primary case say, listen, I think you could benefit. There's nothing wrong. The reason why all the Hollywood stars, all the CEOs of big companies, all of them have psychotherapists. So
the stigma attached to this thing about going to a therapist or a psychiatrist.
Or taking medicine.
Or taking medication to address these issues. Yes. Nonsense.
Yes, because those things help. And it's a combination of things you have to do. Like we said, do things that release stress, walk in, have your little booze, talk to your friends, go watch football. But sometimes you need a little help. I am very lucky because my daughter is a physician. And by the way, all you hear me talking all about this, I must say, with that guy in the color. You have to do a basic medical degree in which you do psychiatry, everything, as an intern. Then I decide I want to do more, so I go do OBGYN. So I know a little bit about almost everything. And I'm so lucky. I get psychotherapy, but guess who? My daughter. I'm lucky she's a doctor.
Yes.
So when I feeling down, I call her, and in 2 minutes she straighten me out. And sometimes it's very hard Daddy, you know that's nonsense. You're a doctor. What the hell you tell? And I say, you're right. Sometimes I feel a little down, and I say, God, I feel like I'm going dead, and life is over. She said, hey, what stupidness are you talking? Listen, so I get psychotherapy, just I don't have to go to a psychiatrist.
Right.
I have one in my backyard. But the point is, you're right. You hit the nail on the head. I'm saying all of this. This stigma that if you go for psychotherapy, you're mad, you can't let nobody know.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. You have a few things that you can change or adjust to assist with your battle against stress. All right, so we spoke about exercise. We spoke about your diet. We spoke about managing your expectations and your dreams, measuring happiness versus wealth, and of course, managing your mental health. Doc, we have a few questions here, one of which you have answered partially, but I'll ask it anyway. It says, how do you feel about antidepressants such as Zoloft and Prozac?
Okay. Take them. All right? Why? If the doctor orders it, they recognize that you have anxiety, and the whole idea is we don't want it to reach depression. Because depression is terrible, anxiety isn't. We all have it. When you don't handle anxiety properly, depression is the next step. That you want to prevent. Depression is a serious mental illness.
And that's the purpose of these medications.
Yes, to help you along with all those things you just listed. And a little bit of medication.
You touched on this a little earlier. The question is, are there any underlying medical problems that could be causing my anxiety symptoms?
Yeah, well, I left that out. Good question. One of the major causes of anxiety is sickness. Mm-hmm. When you're sick, you get anxious.
Yes.
I know because I had prostate problems. I know how you feel. One of the leading causes of anxiety is poor health. Right? So that the connection is there. This is why people have to look in terms of what can I do with my body, right, to resist anxiety and depression, which will usually lead to a decreased immune system, which will lead to me developing, not only developing disease, but if I already have disease, to be worsening it.
Okay.
So let me tell you, anxiety is a part of life. And the more sophisticated the society you're in, the harder it is. And the more anxiety you see. So you have to learn, put aside learning how to deal with anxiety. Some of it, and by the way, read. If it's one thing that we have in this country is information too much.
There's a lot of information available, and as I mentioned before, ensure that it is a credible source.
Exactly.
Last question, Doc. What are some signs to look out for to know if I'm suffering from severe anxiety?
All right. One of the major one is insomnia. And some kind of sleep disorder. Because there's no one. Some people can't fall asleep. Some fall asleep well, wake up 1 o'clock and can't go tomorrow. Some sleep but have restless sleep. Insomnia seems to be one.
Yeah.
Second thing that is extremely high, believe it or not, is loss of libido. Losing the desire for intimacy, and that happens quite a bit. All right? And those are the two biggest ones. They have many other things, but one of the major things is you're not sleeping well. That seems to be a hell of a warning signal. And losing interest in the things that you normally
would enjoy.
Okay. Right? That's one of the major ones to do with anxiety. And remember, we all have anxiety. We have to learn how to do it. I could give them one last technique that I use, right? I haven't seen it written out in any book, but some books, the way they describe things that you could do probably encompasses what I'm going to say. I have found getting away from your regular environment on a regular basis helps. Let me tell you what I mean like that. Some people say, oh, I'm going to go to a hotel on the beach and cool out our beach. You're still in the environment that makes you stressed. Getting away from your routine. And I don't mean on the beach. You go away. Even if you drive an hour and a half, go north, south, east. But nobody has the exact answer as to how to... First of all, don't try to live a stress-free life. That's impossible.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah, no. Learn to handle the stress that you deal with.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the message remains the same. Maintain and manage your health. Whatever the ailment, maintain and manage it. Frequent visits or systematic visits to your primary physician, your specialist if required.
Right. Good way to introduce our community.
Indeed. We'll be right back to Medically Speaking with Dr. Winston Alexis.
We'll be right back to Medically Speaking with Dr. Winston Alexis.
Our family and friends are a big part of who we are. They are our biggest supporters and confidants, and our source of bellyfuls of laughter.
And when it comes to keeping you connected, Western Union is here to make it safer and easier with their digital services. Now your family and friends overseas can send you money without leaving home by using the Western Union app or westernunion.com. Just visit gkmsonline.com to register and share your banking details with your sender to start receiving funds directly to your bank account, so you don't have to leave home to collect. Grace Kennedy Money Services, home of Bill Express, FX Trader, and Western Union, doing our part to help you stay safe and connected to the ones you love.
And we're back to Medically Speaking with Dr. Winston Alexis.
And we are back to Medically Speaking with Dr. Winston Alexis. Doc, we have spoken about credible sources for getting information pertaining to healthcare. So now that we have gone to Mayo Clinic, or we've gone to WebMD, or we've looked at the CDC, and we have determined that, okay, we now need to go and see a doctor, we need to go and seek health care. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Very good point. And it comes down again, I'm going to be repeating this for months so you all get accustomed. We have to learn the system that we're involved in where we live. Forget what happened in Jamaica, forget what happened in Trinidad and St. Kitts. And what should be no matter. It's what it is. And let me tell you something. Physicians, if it's one thing I learn about America, there's always somebody trying to take your money away from you. Healthcare is no different. We know there are certain professions back home, the church, the doctor, the principal, the teacher, the justice of the peace. These are untouchable people. These are people with integrity. These are
impeccable integrity.
There's no such thing in America. Right? And I'm a doctor, and I'm telling you, so you better learn how to evaluate physicians, number one. Number two, he is not going to volunteer any information to you unless he's like me and my wife cuss me all the time. I take him too long. Because he's working by the hour. He is going to spend as little time as he can to get the same amount of money that I'm taking.
So just so I'm clear, and just so our listeners are clear, prepare before you go to see your physician. Have your questions ready to ask your physician. And most importantly, insist on some kind of response.
Exactly. Or don't leave. Or don't come back.
Yes.
All right? That is what you have to learn to do. Back home, patients used to come in and say, Doc, I'm sick. I said, what do you mean you're sick? I mean, I'm sick too. You have to tell me something else. How you mean you're sick? They expect me to... You have to be able to understand the information you need to give to me. You need to understand how the questions I should be answering. You know what bothers me the most? Patients come to me from another physician. Yeah, you have high blood pressure, right? What's the name of the medicine you take? Doc, I don't really know. I say, how could you be taking something every day and you don't know what it is?
And the dosage.
Wait, more than that. No, why you give it to you? I really don't know. You tell me take it. That will not work in this country. It may work home. You need to, whatever disease you have to become an expert on it.
Take advantage of these things that are made available to you. Some of them are inexpensive. Some of them are free.
Yeah. Yes.
But take advantage of them. Use them.
There's so many resources in medicine that are not being used. That your tax dollars present to you here, and because of pride. I send a lot of people to this place called 7th Avenue. It's your tax dollars. It's a clinic. And you can go there without anybody asking you what. And a lot of people, doc, I don't want to go there. I say, you're mad. The same thing you're going to pay $600 for down the road, you could get for $20. Doesn't make sense. So we have to understand how my community have to understand how this place works. Number one, nobody really cares about you.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's very sad. Not your doctor, not your mortgage agent, not your insurance agent.
But it's a reality.
However, you can find well-trained people in anything. And let me tell you one of the most important things. When a patient comes to my office, if I ask them, you have high blood pressure, where you taking? I don't know anything. Why you give it to you? I say take it. Well, I say, you know something, these are women I could get out of the office in 2 minutes, take her money and go about my business. And that's what happened with doctors. I don't do that because my pride. I have this old stupid pride, my wife say. I want to think I'm the greatest in the world, plus my integrity. I still operate in a little like home. Your name is more important than thing. But other doctors do it. Well, this person at my time, listen, take that and go about your business. Next patient. But if you start to say, well, doc, why are you giving me this? Doc, how it work?
Yes.
Right? I mean, and suppose it don't work when I'm coming back. Once a patient tell me that, oh my God, I'm on my P's and Q's. I say, oops, I better take my time and have a discussion with this patient. So inform yourself on whatever you are going to the doctor for. And by the way, this is what this program is about. Don't mind we start off with all this corona, have we easing into what we're really going to be doing. Because we're going to be actually talking about disease, mainly female, in the future, some male. But this was just a little warming up to tell you all that, look, there are things about this system that our community need to learn. When this coronavirus is over, we're going to talk about this later, somewhere down the road. We're going to have a show, and I want you all to tell me, what have you learned from this? What have we as a community learned about a pandemic in America? There's some lessons to be learned. I know I learned some already. I want to hear how much you all have learned.
All right.
All right. And don't forget, next time we're going back to real medicine.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, in preparation for our next show, we're going to be speaking about abnormal vaginal bleeding, a.k.a. an irregular period. Thank you again for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Doc, always a pleasure.
Yeah, man, I had a good time. And but I tell you one thing, I'm anxious to get back to OBGYN. Because that's my specialty. I had to go way back when I was an intern and try to bring all that thing that they taught me 30 years ago. But amazing, I still remember quite a bit of it.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, Medically Speaking with Dr. Winston Alexis. New episodes available every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. on your favorite podcast platforms. Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify.
We appreciate your time with us on Medically Speaking with Dr. Winston Alexis, hosted by Tyrone Robertson. Join us next Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on caribcast.tv, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and most other popular podcast platforms. Doc is back. Although the host and guests are qualified professionals, they assume no responsibility for inaccuracies, omissions, inconsistencies, and any slight of people or organizations. Listeners should use their own judgment or consult an expert or their personal physician for specific applications to their individual medical problem.